Hey, happy Tuesday. I am Adama Hamadi, career clarity coach and lifestyle design specialist, and you are tuned in to Dream Leap Live TV, where mission-driven women learn how to transform their dreams into plans and turn intentions into aligned action. It is Tuesday at 6 p.m., and as per every Tuesday at 6 p.m., I am going to riff for about an hour on something that has been coming up for me a lot lately. And I want to open up space for you to ask some questions at the end of this experience. But before we begin, I want to ask you to do one of two things. If I share something that you would feel guilty keeping to yourself, I'm going to ask that you either share this with someone who you know needs it, or that you type in whatever's coming up for you in the comments so that people who need to read things to process them will get a chance to do that. I just like to make sure that people get access to this information in a number of different ways. And I understand that while I speak very quickly, everyone may not have heard it or received it the first time, but I want to make sure that this message gets to the person who needs it in just the right way. So let's get into it. Okay. I have been blessed to find myself surrounded by really brilliant women, like talented women that are assets to everything they're involved in. Women that make the world better just by being who they are. Women that are making the world better without even trying, without even realizing just how impactful their efforts are. And I've been noticing that as powerful, hey boo-boo, I've been noticing that as powerful as these women are, as brilliant as they are, as together as they seem to be, they are finding themselves stuck and at a plateau because deep down they're afraid to rock the boat. They don't want to ruffle any feathers. They don't want to shake the table, if you will. And this makes perfect sense considering especially how women, and Black women in particular, have been treated when they take a firm stand. Rest in peace to Oluwatoyin Salau. If you don't know who that is, go ahead and check that hashtag. It'll break your heart a little bit, and then you'll understand more of what I'm saying. But there are many women who are afraid to stand up because they feel like they'll be punished if they rock the boat. They feel like it's not safe to stand up for what they believe in. And I understand that. I understand that can be really confronting and scary. And if this, thank you, boo, you know who I'm talking about. And if what I'm saying sounds like you, if you are a woman who has a lot to offer to the world, who on paper is really like slaying the game and getting shit done, but who is afraid to step into the next level for who it might offend, I'm going to offer you a reframe, and I urge you to marinate in it for a little bit. Okay? Take what works, trash what doesn't. But my reframe for you is that your need to be liked and look good to other people is compromising and getting in the way of your most effective leadership. I'm going to say that again. Your need to be liked and to look good to other people is getting in the way of your leadership. I don't ignore the fact that it can be dangerous to be vocal. I don't ignore the fact that it is scary to put yourself out there. But it's a call out. It's a call out, Tiff. You know, listen, it is really important that we practice owning our power by yielding it. Wielding it, rather, not yielding it. Excuse me. That was a Freudian slip. It's important that we own our power by wielding it, by using it, by showing up and sharing what we have to say, even and especially when it is uncomfortable. And this looks like setting self-honoring boundaries. This looks like enforcing those boundaries when people try you and step over that line. This looks like asking for what you want and saying no to what you don't want. This looks like stepping up for people when they may not feel powerful enough to say something. This looks like calling out what everybody knows is wrong, but no one wants to have to deal with, right? There are a number of different ways that we can do this. And I think the reason that this is so important to me is because while this is like the hot time for everyone to be vocal, this isn't just about allyship. This is not just about the revolution. This is about life in general and about showing up for the people that you're here to serve. And I really believe that you, up to this point, if you've gotten to this level of achievement, you've done everything you know to do to get great results. You've done everything that you know is in your power to create what you want for your life. And on paper, you're hot shit. Like you're everything that you need to be. But you can feel on some level this like ever-present dread that you're never going to be able to do enough to feel like enough. You're never going to be able to do enough to feel a sense of completion. You're not going to ever catch that sense of, I feel complete, I feel accomplished. And I want to make sure that I break some things down. If you're wondering why you're doing all the things but don't feel like anything is turning into anything, it's because maybe you're chasing the wrong things. It's because maybe you are chasing people's approval, and that's blocking you in so many other areas. So there are 3 things I want to just talk about right now, because I feel like these are the hidden culprits for why brilliant, powerful women are feeling stuck and are feeling voiceless and are feeling, plateaued. So perfectionism, comparisonitis, and imposter syndrome. If you've been following me for any period of time, these are things that I riff on all the time, because they play into burnout and hustle culture, and feeling like you need to do the most and be the most and look the part in order to prove yourself and prove your worthiness and earn love and respect and joy, all that shit. If we're thinking about perfectionism, comparisonitis, and imposter syndrome, these are 3 of the ways. These are just 3 of the ways that we get caught up in the hustle and burnout cycle. But contrary to popular belief, perfectionism, imposter syndrome, and comparisonitis are not personality traits. They are purpose blockers. They are not personality traits. These are purpose blockers. These are trauma responses that we are taught and conditioned to hold on to for safety and survival. But after a certain level of achievement, they're going to paralyze us and keep us stunted. After a certain level of reaching and striving, there's only so much that you can hold on to before you feel completely stuck. Ooh, Tamara, tell me what's going on, boo. You said yes. Come on, bestie. Tell me what's coming up for you before I move on. And I'm going to take some water. I'm going to steal some water. While I'm waiting for you to respond, I'm going to riff a little bit. I want to look at my notes. Oh, yes. Trauma responses. Absolutely. Perfectionism. The feeling that you need to protect yourself from failure because it's not safe for you to show up as anything less than perfect. That's a trauma response. It's not some inherent flaw. It's not your shortcoming or your defect. And it's absolutely not who you are. It's who you think you need to be in order to stay safe, right? Similar with comparisonitis, feeling like you need to keep up with the Joneses. Somewhere along the way, you learned that it was unsafe to not look the part. It was unsafe to not belong. And there is a lot of brain science behind feeling like if you don't belong in the community, you get kicked out of the community. And if you get kicked out of the community, you don't get your basic human needs met. I understand biologically why that is a thing. But I'm here to remind you that just because you've practiced feeling that does not mean that it is a truth. And you always have a say in creating new rules and choosing something different. So these things, these trauma responses that we hold on to that get us to a certain level of career success or good grades or whatever, but then keep us stunted when we want to build our businesses and when we want to branch into something bigger and scarier, those are the exact same things that are going to keep us from stepping into our next level. Those are the exact same things that are going to make us think if we cannot be everything to everyone, then we're not going to be anything to anyone. If we cannot impress them all, then it's not worth it. If we cannot absolutely avoid any sense of rejection or failure, then we're not going to try. Those are the things that come up because you've practiced thinking all these things. And I need you to understand that until you decide to write new rules, until you decide that you have permission to thrive, until you decide to train your brain to make your version of success safe, you're not going to be able to enjoy any level of success that doesn't come with struggle and mind drama. Hey, Imani, welcome, darling. Until you make your impact more important than your insecurities, you're not going to be able to enjoy success at any level. You're going to find a way to sabotage, you're going to find a way to stay stuck, or you're going to get all the things that checked off your list but still feel empty. We have to practice making our desired impact more important than our learned insecurities. That is something that I really want us to work through. And again, your need to be liked by everybody is making it hard for you to lead anybody. So just think about that. Think about where that comes from. Think about what that is doing for the impact you could have on the world to try to be impressing and pleasing people that are committed to misunderstanding you in the first place. I feel very strongly, like in the depths of my soul, I feel that I am here to show Black women what's possible when they give up the need to be superwoman and decide to be super intentional with their time and their energy. I really feel that I am here to be a walking example of what's possible. And I also want to help women that are looking to build their businesses. I want to help these women reframe the concepts that have been haunting them so that they can make room in their mind for a vision that excites them. I want you to clear away all the reasons you have for why you can't have what you want so you can make room for what you do want, and then give yourself permission to go after that. I want you to make room in your mind, free up precious mental real estate for the shit that you want and not all the reasons you have for why you can't have it. Because unfortunately, when you get to a certain level in your life, you assume that shit's going to be difficult. You assume that shit is impossible for you. You assume that all the chips are stacked against you. You know the metaphor that people say, all the shit stacked against you. I can't think of the saying, but you get to a certain level and you assume that it's all working against you and you're going to have to fight uphill. And as long as you believe that you have to struggle to get it, guess what the fuck you going to get? A struggle. When you decide that the struggle is optional and you are choosing to opt out, you stop making yourself available for unnecessary suffering. You stop making yourself available for burnout. You stop making yourself unavailable for one-sided relationships. You stop making yourself unavailable for soul-sucking jobs. You start recognizing when you are in the wrong space. You start recognizing when your efforts are not requited, right? You notice these things a lot more when you've made a decision that you don't have to suffer in order to enjoy success. We're ready for a new paradigm. We are ready for a world in which you get to feel good on your way to feeling good, and not a world in which if you feel bad enough for long enough, then maybe you'll get to enjoy yourself. Like, that shit's for the birds. We're throwing that away. I'm not here for it. I don't want you here for it either. So, this is it's been on my mind because, as I said, I'm blessed to be surrounded by really brilliant women. I don't keep company with women that don't inspire me. And there are so many women that are doing amazing things and could be doing amazing things, but they're afraid to say the wrong thing. They're afraid to be inflammatory. They're afraid to be offensive. They're afraid to be polarizing. And I feel like all of the best leaders are somewhat polarizing. If you're not polarizing, you're not taking a strong enough stand, I feel. And also, no matter how well you perform, there's always going to be someone who's going to be triggered by how you show up. Their insecurities are not your responsibility. It is not your job to make people feel comfortable. And as long as your focus is on being palatable, you don't get to own how powerful you truly are. It's not your job to be desirable to everyone else. It is your responsibility to design a life that is desirable to you and to show up in a way that inspires the people around you. They don't have to like what you're doing, but they will have that shit sprinkled all over their lives when you show up as who you are and give them permission to show up as who they are. So if you are ready to shift the paradigm around having to suffer to earn your joy, then I invite you to enroll in my Purpose-Driven Powerhouse Training Bundle. This is something new that I've never done a training bundle before, but I really feel in my spirit that it is the time to offer this. This is a compilation of 10 trainings that I have done that have been very well received, that are designed to support you in creating the attitude, the action plan, and the atmosphere to enjoy your most rewarding and deeply satisfying life. I think that it is time to stop settling for what you think you can have and start working toward what you never even imagined was possible. Something that would be really, really sexy and fun and beautiful. I want us to recommit to purpose. This is an opportunity to re-engage with your dreams for what you want your life to be about. This is your opportunity to build that legacy that you've been dreaming about, and about making life happen for you instead of happening to you. This is an opportunity to be proactive and not reactive, to take an active stance and not just passively let life happen to you, because there's so much more for you when you let that be an option. So I wanted to offer the Purpose-Driven Powerhouse as an opportunity for you if you want to be able to meet your most ambitious career goals without burning yourself out. You want to meet these big, ambitious career goals and enjoy fulfilling relationships, but somewhere along the way you told yourself you couldn't have them both. Or if you want to get out of your own way and you want to build a legacy that you can be proud of and not just a life that, was right? If you want to build a really powerful legacy and you're tired of being your own biggest obstacle, then Purpose-Driven Powerhouse is for you. So here's how it works. Starting on July 1st, you will get your first training. Every 3 days for 30 days, you will continue to get one training every 3 days for 30 days. And these are 10 videos with my approaches to personal leadership, to mindset management, and to lifestyle design. So these are all the principles and concepts that I have learned and integrated into my own life in order to find the clarity, the courage, and the confidence to do the work that I do and help other people do the work that they are meant to do. And so it's these 10 videos that you will get. These 10 videos, one video every 3 days for 30 days, plus self-reflection prompts, plus some worksheets to help you reshape your thoughts so that you can approach each day with a clear sense of direction. Hey, Tiffany. So this is something that I'm really excited to offer. I'm especially excited now because there's so many women that are feeling like I have all this time, but I don't know what to do with it. Or, I've been thinking about doing this, but I don't know how I'm about to go about it. The how is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is getting in the vibe and the energy of being focused on what you want for yourself. Getting in the vibe and the energy of a powerhouse, showing up as a woman of influence, embodying transformational leadership in every area of your life, being in alignment, being congruent, taking action in the direction of what you want, saying no to what you don't want. All of these things and more are covered in the trainings. And if this is something that you're interested in, if you've been thinking about working with me for a while, but you want more of a self-study option, then the trainings alone are absolutely worth the investment. Each of these trainings sold separately would come out to over $2,000. But if you're going to do the trainings as part of this bundle, the trainings alone is $444. If you would like the next level up, which is trainings plus course notes and a 90-minute intensive with me, that is $777. And if you would like the Powerhouse Premium package, that is going to be the training bundle, course notes, worksheets, and 6 monthly Back on Track coaching calls with me through the year, through the end of December 2020. That is going to be $1,111. I feel like, as I mentioned, this is a no-brainer. If you've ever wanted to buy any of these trainings alone, or if you tried to buy them all on their own, it would come out to over $2,000. But I'm giving you all of this at a steal, essentially. And the prices are going to go up after July 1st, so I would suggest that you jump on this shit, not now, but right now. So if this is something that feels expansive to you, if this is something that feels like you are ready to try, if you are ready to be challenged and stretched so that you can step into your next highest level of leadership, I would be honored to have you in the program. And I want you to hit my inbox after this live so that we can talk about what that might look like. You can hit my inbox after this live with your preference, whether you want the trainings only, whether you want the bundle, or whether you want the premium package, and we will talk about how to get started. So that is what the Purpose-Driven Powerhouse looks like. We do definitely still have some time. And I wanted to get into some Q&A, either about the bundle or about the concept of needing to be liked and how that's affecting your leadership, because it's really hard to engage with purpose if you're still trying to impress and please everybody else. So I'm going to take a sip of water. I want you to marinate on what I've been sharing, and then I'm going to open it up for questions. So feel free to type in whatever questions are coming up for you or takeaways. Hey, Helen. What questions do we have? What are we thinking? Hey, girl, hey. I literally just finished my riff and talking about the training bundle, but what I was talking about earlier was the concept that your need to be liked and your need to look good for others is getting in the way of effective leadership. So, do you have any questions on that? That sounds like a big obstacle to tackle. Are there small daily things I can do to work on this? Not being liked, or the need to please, or the need for approval. I'm going to make sure I understand your question. Are there small daily things I can do? Oh, are there small daily things you can do to work on not being liked, or the need to please, or the need for approval? Okay. Well, first you have to try on the reframe. Do you want to be liked, or do you want to be a leader? Right? There are plenty of people that have zero issue being the people pleaser, being the yes woman. If you feel that that is your calling and your destiny, by all means, continue to do that. But if you're asking the question, I can tell that you're sensing there's something else you want for yourself. If it is not serving you to not stand up for you, then it is important to stand up for you. I had to discover a long time ago, like, my calling is not to be liked by everybody. My job is not to be palatable to everybody. It's to show up powerfully and to lead myself in my life and show other people how to lead themselves in their lives. And that means I'm going to say things that trigger people. And that means I'm going to say things that bump up against people's insecurities. And that means I'm going to say things that make people uncomfortable. I'm willing to make people uncomfortable, but I do this in a way to let them know that it is always safe. It is always safe to be you, even if you feel uncomfortable. Because you can feel the sting and do the work at the same time. You can feel the sting and grow through it at the same time, right? I give people permission to be wrong about me. People have all types of assumptions about who I must be or who I think I am. And I've had to give people permission to say whatever they're going to say to help them sleep at night, because I'm clear on what I want and I'm clear on what I'm going after. And they don't have to like that. I also think that this is a lesson that I learned the hard way, and I'm unwilling to move backward from that. I woke up in the hospital after multiple health crises. I woke up in the hospital because my body was done ignoring what needed to be seen and said. It was clear that I had been living for other people. It was clear that I was fighting way too hard to impress everybody else. And it was depleting me, right? And so I had to move forward from that. So it was easier for me to make this decision. I don't want you to have to learn this the way I did. I don't want you to have to learn by almost dying. I really hope that I can shorten the learning curve for you, which is why I'm trying to offer this paradigm shift. You're not here to be liked. Being liked is a bonus, but when you like yourself first, right? And that is why I think starting with the morning routine, practicing thinking thoughts that feel better and affirming yourself before you look for affirmation from other people is really, really powerful. Forgiving yourself before you leave the house, forgiving yourself for whatever you may have done that was like not super cute, forgiving yourself for whatever you've done that was below you or that doesn't match who you want to be, that isn't aligned with what you want for your life. When you forgive yourself before anyone else has a chance to shame you, you are shame proof. Living for other people, girl. I know, girl. Like, child, and I know you get this, but as a child of African immigrants, I had a lot of pressure on me to do the right thing for my family. I had a lot of pressure on me to do the right thing for my parents. And I had to be really intentional about giving myself permission to do things that they didn't necessarily understand, but that they would later appreciate because it made for more powerful results for everyone. Mommy, you have a question? Go ahead and ask, my love. Can you give us any examples of public female leaders who you feel effectively manage being polarizing at times and also being an effective leader? Besides you, because you are a boss and example. Yes, bitch. Here for it. Love it. I think that Myleik Teele is, she does the My Taught You podcast. She leads the My Taught You educational retreats. She is, I don't know how to describe what she does. But Myleik Teele, absolutely look her up. She's a founder of Curlbox. And she is someone that is known for being very like, I think our communication style is very similar. She's fluff free. She's with the shits and she's here for it. Like she will drag you and get you all the way together, but she's always focused on helping you show up as your most powerful self. She focuses a lot on branding and professionalism and the ethics and, you know, being a solid, trustworthy brand and business person. And so I think Myleik really rubs a lot of people the wrong. A lot of people who feel like they should get, you know, a pat on the back for everything they do. She's gonna get on their nerves. But I think she does a really good job of calling people to a higher standard. I think Myleik Teele is a really great example. Who's someone else? When you're writing, thinking of what you forgive yourself for, are you supposed to say specific things that happened or okay. Tamara, let me come back to your question because I want to answer this one before it scrolls away. So the question Mommy's asking is, when you're writing or thinking of what you forgive yourself for, are you supposed to say specific things that happened? Now, I would say yes, because we can't fix what we won't face. And if you're not willing to say exactly what needs to be forgiven, you're probably not actually ready to do the forgiving, right? So when I was doing this practice, I got this practice from Lisa Nichols. Look her up. She's a great motivational speaker. Transformational speaker is what she calls herself. So Lisa Nichols had I appreciate you, or I acknowledge you for, I forgive you for, and I promise you that. So from her exercise, every morning I would say 10 things that I appreciate myself for. And then I would say 10 specific things that I forgive myself for. And then I would say 10 commitments or promises that I was going to make to myself for that day or for the near future. So here's the thing with forgiveness, Mommy. I think that it can be really hard to forgive because we think that if we're forgiving, we're condoning. Or we believe that if we forgive, then we have to just let it go. But the way the brain works is you're not just going to let it go. There is no forgive and forget. If it hurt you badly enough that it's hard to forgive, it's safest for you to remember it. But just because you're remembering it doesn't mean you have to relive it, right? And so you can hold space and honor the memory without being stuck in it or consumed by it all day, every day. And I think that is what forgiveness is about. It's about acknowledging that something happened, acknowledging that you may have said something that didn't fit what you wanted at the time, acknowledging that you didn't handle something as best you could. But at the end of the day, like you did the best you could with what you had. We always do the best we can with what we have. That's a thought I've had to think to make myself feel better about it. But when you know better, you do better. Until you know better, you do the best that you can. But when you look back on who you used to be, you can forgive that person for not having the tools you have now. Thank you for the hearts. I appreciate that. So, Mommy, let me know if that answered your question. So, Tamara, I'm thinking back to more polarizing leaders. So, I named my league Teal because I think she's a very powerful example. Amanda Francis, someone that I love. I've been very into her lately. Amanda Francis is actually one of the only white influencers that I still trust these days, because she's been very intentional about talking about white privilege and understanding implicit bias and systemic racism. And Amanda Francis is a manifestation expert and the money queen and all that. And she's very polarizing. I can say for the first couple years that I heard about her, she got on my nerves. I was very triggered by her because I felt that she was throwing around all this language and completely ignoring the place that privilege has in all the things that she's created. But when I was willing to look at things differently, when I was willing to see things differently, when I was willing to hear the message that was underneath all the shit that was getting on my nerves, I realized that she actually is a brilliant woman. And I realized that she has done a lot of really great mindset work to be willing to put herself out there knowing that people make assumptions about her without giving her a chance. And she lets people think what they need to think, and she moves past it. There are plenty of people that think she's a valley girl and she doesn't know anything and, she's lying about how much money she has, whatever. That's their business. I think she's amazing. I think she's great. I love her. I'm like, take my money, girl. You got it. Cool. So yeah, I think Amanda Francis is another perfect example of someone that gets under people's skin. Oh yeah. Tamara, when someone irritates me, I am very quick to, I make snap judgments. Like, if it doesn't feel safe, I'm like, bye, bitch. But also, I think that if we are willing to pay attention to the story we're telling ourselves behind that reaction, we can learn so much. We have these thoughts and assume the thoughts are the truth and don't ever question them. But this is the same issue we have with perfectionism. We tell ourselves something and assume it's a truth, and we don't question it, we don't challenge it, and then we feel just kind of stuck, right? I'm willing to look at things differently. I'm willing to be wrong about things, and that has opened up so much for me. As a perfectionist, as a Virgo, as a perfectionist, as a recovering overthinker, these are all things that, I don't like being wrong about things. But I have to be willing to be wrong, and I have to be willing to look dumb in order to create the results that I want in my life. And I urge you to try that on as well. So what other questions do we have? I done started with one thing, Lord. We're moving on to something else. But yes. What other questions do we have? I know I normally riff for a little bit longer than that, but that was just... it was top of mind for me, and I had to get it out. So yeah. I see some people joining. Welcome, welcome. Mommy, I forgot to mention, if you are looking for things to include in your morning routine or in your evening routine, I include a number of different exercises and worksheets in the Purpose-Driven Powerhouse. So you can message me after this to see if that applies to you or if that's something that resonates for you. Did I miss any of these comments? No. Oh, Tamara, you're welcome. What other questions we have, family? I'm here. Can you repeat the 3 levels of packages? Absolutely. So trainings only which is a 10 videos, one every 3 days for 30 days in July, is $444. If you like the trainings plus course notes and a 90-minute intensive with me to kickstart your work, that is $777. The trainings only and the second level are on payment plans. If you would like the premium package, that is $1,111, pay in full only, and that is for the training bundle plus 6 monthly back on track coaching sessions with me through the end of the year. Let me know if you need any clarification on that, love. Yeah, you're welcome. While I'm waiting for questions, I'm going to go ahead and shout out some of the Black-owned brands that I have on, because I've had some people reach out, like really, really sweet, reaching out and saying, what are some Black-owned brands that I can support? So, on my wrists, I got a couple different things. These here, these beautiful skinny beads are from Beads by Woo. Fun fact, that is my sister. I'm also wearing this Brave beaded bracelet. It's from Armel Express. I am wearing these earrings from Adia Ayo. Who else am I wearing? I am wearing a mix of multiple lip glosses, but one of them is, I don't remember the color, Lord, but the lipstick that I'm wearing is Keisha Kaur, plus a lip gloss on top. Keisha Kaur is Gucci Mane's wife. Then on top is the Adenike lip gloss by Finger Comber. Let's see, what else am I wearing? I'm not wearing it right now, but if I were wearing eyeshadow, it would be the Juvia's Palace, which I love, but I'm not wearing it right now. And I'm wearing a Black Lives Matter t-shirt. I don't remember who made this. I could text you later when I find it on the back. Got you on all of that. And this glow is brought to you by Simone Rose Skincare, the only skincare that I even trust these days. Simone Rose is everything. Yeah. Hashtag buy black. Hashtag support black businesses. Yeah. Anyway. So what other questions do we have, family? I know we got some people on here. We got some people on here that are real quiet, and normally y'all have great questions. Girl, go ahead and make a comment, girl. Share it. Comment, question, I'm here for it. I think when we are fighting to be liked, we end up making everybody like us but ourselves. So if you've succeeded in making everybody else like you, I bet you won't like you. I bet you'll judge yourself because you've succeeded at being a fraud. And isn't that what imposter syndrome is about anyway? You feel like you don't belong. You feel like you're not good enough. You feel like you haven't impressed enough people. It's not about impressing others. It's about expressing what matters to you and designing a life that impresses you. What was the hardest thing for you when you made the pivot from caring about what other people think to care about how you want to live your life? Okay. I also want to make clear, I am not going to sit here and tell y'all that I don't care what people think about me. I think that's like borderline sociopathy, to genuinely not care what other people think about you. I'm not saying don't care. I'm saying be afraid and take the leap. I'm saying, so yeah, I care what people think, but I'm not about to let that trump what I've worked hard for. But I think the hardest thing for me in the pivot was, I think I had put a lot of stock into branding myself as reliable. I branded myself as loyal, as reliable, as someone that people could count on. And I think when I started realizing just how few of those people I could count on, I had to pull back. When I realized that I was everyone's 3 a.m. friend, but it was hard for me to think of who I could count on at 3 in the morning. There were a couple people, of course, including you, but there were a couple people that I could count on at 3 a.m. But when I realized like there weren't that many, I had to really step things back. And when we set boundaries, or when we make keep our distance from people, they assume all types of things. And if they know that we get off on being needed, if they know that we get off on being nice, they're going to try to manipulate and trigger us into giving them what they're used to getting. But someone having a hard time with you setting a boundary does not mean you shouldn't have set the boundary. It means that that person was never actually safe for you, is what that means. And so I had to really decide, like, I have to live with the consequences of my decisions. Not the people I'm over here trying to stun on. Not the people I'm trying to impress. Not the people who I hope will like me eventually. I had to realize that. I don't think it's bad to want to be liked, but I've been telling myself, for example, that I'm likable, so it's not something to stress about. Exactly. It's not a bad thing to want to be liked. Everyone wants to be liked. I like when people like me. Like, who doesn't? I like when people like me. And if I happen to like somebody, if I happen to respect somebody, I hope that they'll like me back. But I do not make my moves based on whether I think they're going to like me back. And I think that is a difference. I hope that the people I've put stock into will put stock back into me. I hope that the people I like, love, respect will like, love, respect me back. But I do not make my decisions under the umbrella of, is this a decision that someone is going to like me for? That is the key distinction. Do I care enough about this person to give them permission to react however they're going to react and still do what I know I need to do? Do I love this person enough to let them go free if they are not able to handle the decision that I am making? Because at the end of the day, I'm not here to hold anybody back. I'm not here to tell anybody how they need to do life. I love myself, and I'm going to teach you how to show me love. I'm going to teach you how to love me. But I cannot make you love me the way I need to be loved. I can decide whether I'm going to sit here in your definition of love for me or whether I'm going to walk away from it. But in my life, my aim is to embody what I'm about so I can train the people around me how to treat me. And that's it. I don't get to blame people for not getting it if I didn't explain it. But if I explain it and they show they're either unwilling or unable to give me that, then it's on me to decide whether I'm going to walk away. And because I love and respect myself, I choose to walk away if they're not able. And that's what I would urge you to try. Let me know if that makes sense, Mummy. This is a daily practice, man. Setting self-honoring boundaries is a daily practice. Standing up for what matters to me is a daily practice. Managing my inner critic is a daily practice. I say all the time, time management has so much less to do with time than it does with managing your inner critic. When you can manage the shit you say to yourself on a daily basis, when you can manage the thoughts that you think, when you have the practice of replacing shitty thoughts with thoughts that feel better, then you get to control your time. But until then, no amount of strategies or productivity tips are going to help. This is not just about the tips. And that's why in Purpose-Driven Powerhouse, it's not just about the tips that I give you. It's about principles and concepts that you get to integrate on a cellular level. It's about decisions that you make every single day. It's about designing your environment to honor the decision and the intention that you're setting. I say all the time, self-care is the practice. It's not a prize that you earn. It's not a luxury or a reward after you've burned yourself out. Self-care is a practice, and it is the practice of giving yourself the space, the systems, and the support you need to show up for the work that you're here to do. And sometimes you need to give yourself space every morning so you can get comfortable listening to yourself before you listen for other people. Sometimes you need to give yourself enough support to say, I have permission to rest, even though everyone else on my team said I should be working. I have permission to recharge. I have permission to walk away from this unhealthy relationship. I have permission to unplug from social media. I have permission to ask my friend, please don't send me videos of Black people being murdered because I don't need to see their murdered bodies to respect their lives, right? That might be a specific boundary that you set, and that's an act of self-care, and it's a decision that you make every day. Self-care is a practice. Mindset management is a practice. Personal leadership is a practice. Like anything else, if you start out shitty, you practice to get better. And when you've practiced long enough, it becomes second nature and it becomes part of who you are and not just what you do. People have affectionately referred to me as a self-care and boundary queen because I don't play about either one of those things. I take them very seriously. And they're no longer just things I talk about. They are ways that I live. And my hope is that I can teach you how to live around those. Thank you for the hearts. I appreciate it. Thank you for the heart showers. I know it's a really tricky concept. Like, I hope that I have not given anyone the impression that I am above hurt feelings. I am one of the most sensitive bitches you will ever meet. Like, I got feelings for fucking days, which is why I have to be so protective of my energy, which is why I have to be so discerning and selective about what I pay attention to and what I consume, right? I've had to build this practice because if I don't, I feel like I'm going to crumble. I have to be very intentional. I have work to do, so I can't afford to be just reckless and all over the place. This is why I've built the practice. And it hurts when people say nasty, shitty things. But then I remember hurt people. And I remember that people are lashing out because I represent something they haven't given themselves permission to do. So a lot of their insults have nothing to do with me and everything to do with their insecurities around who I dare to be. I've owned that. I know that. I understand that now. But it doesn't mean that I don't feel bad when people say shitty things. The issue is not to be, I guess the point is not to be unaffected. The point is to trust that I will always bounce back. I trust that I will bounce back. I trust that I was built for this shit. I trust that I can make it. I trust that if I'm willing to risk looking a fool and falling on my face, when I come out on the other side, I get to be a powerful example for the women that were afraid. I get to be a powerful example of feeling the fear and doing it anyway. And feeling the sting and growing through it anyway. I was already the guinea pig. You know what I'm saying? Like, I did all the burnout and the health crises and the debilitating depression. I did all that so that the people I was meant to teach wouldn't have to. And if you want to ignore this and you feel like you're the kind of person that needs to learn shit the hard way, I free you to do that. But there's no prize for suffering unnecessarily. There's no prize for struggling and suffering alone when you are surrounded by resources. And I would be honored to be a support and a resource for you. So we got a few more minutes, family. What other questions do we have? You got to keep in mind, I'm here every Tuesday, but it's only Tuesday that I open things up to answer questions for free. I am not in the pick my brain business. So ask your questions now, or else save them till next Tuesday, or else sign up for Purpose-Driven Powerhouse and see what happens. Oh, she said your words are so reaffirming. Thank you. I'm so glad. And I appreciate the hearts. Questions, comments. If you're used to being on here, you know what I'm about to ask. I'm about to say, all right now, what has been your biggest takeaway from our time together? What insights have come up? What surprised you about it? What inspired you? What lit you up? What got under your skin? Shit, I want to hear, what are your takeaways? What's coming up for you as you hear me talk about this? Oh, Helen, I just realized I don't know if I even finished answering your question. I think I saw mommy's comment and like jumped back to it. Helen, if you are still on, let me know if I answered your question. All right, let's see. Tamra. Hey, girl, hey. Caring about what others think can actually be destructive to leadership and maybe an obstacle to helping others. It's important to love yourself first so you don't look for validation from others. It's like a cycle. Yes. Yes. And again, for emphasis, like wanting to be liked, wanting other people to think highly of you is not the problem. Feeling like you're not allowed to make any moves until you get approval from other people is going to hold you back from effective leadership. The difference that you are here to make requires a willingness to be polarizing. The difference that you are here to make requires a willingness to light a fire under people's asses and make them uncomfortable. If you are not willing, I really believe the worst thing that can ever happen to us is an uncomfortable feeling. And if you are not willing to risk an uncomfortable feeling, then you don't get to claim you want what you want. What, Tamara? You got the jack-o'-lantern laugh. Oh, Helen, I did? Okay, good. Good. Awesome. So, Helen, what was your biggest takeaway? Here I am just calling people out. My bad. I think the biggest thing as I become more open is realizing I was never really alone in my experience. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. A really common misconception is that when we're suffering, we're the only one that's ever suffered that deeply. And if only we knew just how many people are going through terrible, terrible things and think they don't have permission to talk about it, or think they shouldn't be feeling it, or hope that if they just don't think about it, then it'll go away. This is why support groups are so powerful. This is why masterminds and communities are so important. Yes. On the same page. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, synchronicity. It's not about caring. It's about how you let caring about what other people think affect what you do and how you live your life. Absolutely. There are a lot of energy vampires in my life that benefited from me having really shitty boundaries. They got everything they wanted because I was afraid to say no, and I didn't want to upset them and rock the boat. And when Adama 2.0 showed up, people were in for quite the surprise. People were like, what the fuck is this? Like, what do you mean you can't do this? What do you mean you're not available for this? It made people really, really, really upset. But it also filtered out the people that I didn't need to have in my life anyway. And it let me know the people that stayed and respected my boundaries were people that were safe for me, and were people that had earned my vulnerability, and were people that I could continue to be a good friend to and not feel like I was being taken advantage of. So it was a weird test that I didn't even realize I was giving to people. But I got very clear on who was actually for me and who was there for what I could give to them. That's why boundaries are so magical and so powerful. And now I have a very small list of people that I want to make sure I'm considering before I do something crazy. You know, it's not about being reckless and doing whatever you want and just being inconsiderate. It's about being careful who you choose to be considerate about. Brene Brown talks about it a little bit, about like a small list of people whose opinions matter. Because we say we can't do something because everyone's going to get offended. Everyone's going to get mad. We have to get clear on who your everyone is. And when you actually sit down and do the work, everyone's actually like 3 people. And 2 of those 3 people don't actually give that much of a fuck. You've just told yourself this story. So we got to be clear, be honest about who actually cares the way we think they care. Be honest about whether we actually care if they care. It's about getting down. Just because you've practiced, you got to get down to the root of it. And just because you've practiced thinking it does not mean that it is the truth. Anyway. You love which part? I just rambling, Lord, rambling. All right, y'all. Instagram is about to cut me off. I thank you for showing up. I thank you in advance for sharing this with someone who needs it. And if after listening to this, you are clear that Purpose-Driven Powerhouse is a full body yes for you, I want you to hit my inbox so we can talk about your options. Okay? Have a beautiful week on purpose. And I'll see you next Tuesday at 6. Ciao.